All right, gentlemen, the final week of the regular season. Still a whole lot to be decided. We're going to get to that in just a minute. Last week I went 4-4, makes my overall record 57-39. Not too shabby. For those of you who hadn't noticed yet, this is the last week of bye weeks in the NFL. RIP to Luke, either last season or 2 seasons ago, when it was the first week of playoffs, and we had all these teams on bye. Oh, my bad. Probably ruined your perfect season. Um, but we do have 6 teams on bye this week, 6, which is the most in any week this season. Only one other week had 6, and that was back in week 9. So good luck out there, especially all those teams that still have something to play for, which is a lot of you. Uh, as far as waiver wire this week, Michael went in on Damien Harris for 76 bucks. Michael has to have a W this week, and he went for it. The second closest team was William, who actually owned Harris just a week ago and dropped him for 20 bucks. So Michael wanted to ensure by almost 3 times that he had Damien Harris, but 5 teams did put in for him. So good win for you, Michael. Hopefully, it's enough to push you over this week. Also, for the first time ever on waivers, we had an actual tie. Dylan and I both put in $3 for Greg Dulcich in the barren wasteland that is a tight end, but I got him due to having a higher waiver order priority. Oof, ouch. Although Dylan, I might have done you a favor. Who knows with tight ends these days? But we do have 1 week left. I've had a few of you texting me throughout this week, and so here is where everything sits. Reminder though that even if you don't make it into the playoffs, we still have something to play for in the losers bracket as well, as our playoffs, both winning division and losing division, decide our pick that you would get to pick your draft slot for next season. So the loser bracket is done like a ladder. If you win, you move up a match. If you lose, you move down a match. And then the winning bracket is done normally, but we'll talk through that as it comes. As we're approaching playoffs, only 6 people have their fate completely determined out of the 16. 10 people have something to play for still. I think that might be our most ever in the final week. Not a whole lot of change as far as being set from last week. Me and Dad and Rusty are still in the playoffs. Jeffrey joined us last week. Jeffrey is now officially in the playoffs, will officially be promoted. As far as being eliminated from playoffs, that is Matt, Michael, OP, and Allen. They have no shot at the playoffs this year. However, as far as relegation, those players are all relegated as well, except Michael. Michael has very much got a chance to still be promoted, even though he has no chance to make playoffs. The person he's competing against is Austin. Austin actually has a chance to make playoffs with the wild card. Michael does not have a chance for that, but he could get promoted and move up a division next year. So Austin and Michael very much have something to play for. So let's talk about this division by division. Highest division, every player is alive and has a chance. They all are terrible as far as record goes. However, they're so bad that 3 of them, out of the 4, 3 of them are in the bottom 6 of the entire league in scoring. And due to that, Ryan is in the best position because he is the top of the division and tied for the most wins, but he also has the most points for, which is our tiebreaker. We don't do any head-to-head. It is all points for as a tiebreaker. So for Ryan to not make the playoffs, he would have to lose, and also Luke would have to win for Ryan to be out. Both those things have to happen amongst the matchups. Or Barrett beats Luke, but somehow outscores Ryan by 84 points. Then Ryan would still also be out of the playoffs. For Luke and Delwyn, it's simple. Luke and Delwyn, you win your matchup, you're in the playoffs. It's very easy for you to. Barrett has to win, obviously, but then he has to also hope Ryan wins because he would be in. But if Delwyn beats Ryan, Barrett has to beat that magic number of 84 we talked about earlier to have a chance of getting in because of points for. So Barrett needs Barrett and Ryan. Ryan needs Ryan is basically safe no matter what. It would take a lot for Ryan not to make it at this point. As far as the middle high division, big matchup last week between Derek and Dylan that Derek took, which now puts Derek in the driver's seat. The wild card is also likely going to this division. Likely Derek or Dylan will be getting that wild card depending on who doesn't get in. They have a total of 12 points that separate them completely through the entire season. And Dylan is actually ahead in that, But because of the win last week, Derek has one more win than he does. So Derek has to lose and Dylan win for Dylan to get into the playoffs. Uh, as long as somehow in a loss, Derek doesn't also outscore Dylan's win by 12 points. Seems unlikely, not impossible. So basically, theirs pretty much just comes down to win and loss. But if both lose, Derek is in. And so they would be null and void there. As far as the wild card on the other side of things, Austin and William technically have a chance at the wild card for the last shot to get in the playoffs. Remember, the wild card just goes to the team that doesn't make the playoffs by our system that has the most points for it. Record and all that doesn't matter. We're just putting in the team that has the most points throughout the season because it makes them, in theory, the best other team left. They just have bad defense. So William and Austin are the ones that have the chance at that. Austin has to outscore Derek / Dylan by 30 points, which is definitely a chance there. Williams got a little bit more than that he's got to do, but not impossible in a week. Lower middle division, it comes down to Mac and William, who play each other this week. What more could you ask for? Mac has to have a win, and the player he has to have a loss. So it all comes down to that. However, there's worse news. Mac has to beat William pretty soundly due to that terrible start to the season for Mac. Mac has to outscore William by 47 points, which Mac has the ability to put up a lot of points. So this is not impossible, but he's got to beat William by 47 points. So he needs William to have a Nathan Peterman type week again, and he's got to win by 47, and then Mac would be in and promoted, and William would then be relegated and not in playoffs, and also wouldn't get the wild card spot if he's losing to a team by 47 points. So it all comes, it's just that matchup. That's the only one that matters in that one at all. And then lowest scenario, it comes down to Austin and Michael. Me and Matt are done. Austin and Michael played last week, and Michael won, which made this scenario possible. But they are tied in record, but Austin is killing him in points for by over 100. So the points for isn't going to come to play here. It all comes down to win-loss. Austin has to lose, and Michael has to win. And this is only for promotion and relegation to who moves up a division or not next year. Remember, the top two in each division move up, the bottom two move down a division each year. But Austin could make the playoffs. Austin has the playoffs to play for as that wild card spot. Michael is purely playing for the promotion, and that's it. So a lot of scenarios left to be decided, a lot of fun. This is why we play our division last. Also wild that all this is having happened while 6 teams are on bye this week. Makes it just a little extra difficult for everybody. That's why Michael went so hard on Damian Harris. Got to have a player. Got to be able to feel hard. He loses Jonathan Taylor, and we'll talk about that in a minute when we are looking at the matchups and who we think will take each matchup this week. And let's go ahead and do that. So first matchup of the week, me versus Austin. Again, almost every matchup has something on the line since 10 teams still have something to be decided. In this one, Austin has to have a W to be safe. Otherwise, he's got to count on Matt, the worst team in the league. It's just a fact, Matt. Sorry about that. To beat Michael for him to then stay promoted. So if you look at the two rosters, as far as bye weeks for these two teams, is actually only Chase Claypool, which isn't a terrible thing for Austin to have to deal with if he makes a lineup change. However, he has lost Stafford. He has lost Cooper Kupp. He does have Marquise Brown back, which would be a great replacement for Claypool. And of all the weeks for his double Dallas running backs to play a team, they play Houston this week, the worst team against the run in the league. So Austin has a chance. Like he could make this a game. We have Allen versus Mahomes, 2 top quarterbacks against each other, but both are playing tough defenses. So he does also have Michael Gallup. So he is running out the 3 Dallas Cowboys, but there's a week to do it. Houston's probably the one. So I lose Treylon Burks most likely this week to that concussion on the touchdown catch that he made. I don't get Darren Waller back just yet since they play tonight. Hopefully I'll have him next week. Austin has enough to make this a game. Austin could make it interesting. However, I don't think he pulls off the upset. I win, and then we'll see what Michael does. Luke versus Barrett. Luke is projected for 74. Buys. Gotcha. He has 2 running backs on bye. Oh, that's painful. And he has his backup quarterback, and he has 3 total running backs on bye. Uh, so he currently would have to start Rondell Moore, who's highly questionable, hasn't practiced, and Benny Snell to have a full lineup. Barrett might. Wow. Okay. There's not much out there either for Luke to pick up, but he has 2 players on bye on his starting lineup and 2 on bench. That would be his entire bench on bye with no replacements and only 1 position able to be replaced. So Luke's got some work to do. Barrett loses Lamar Jackson almost assuredly for at least a couple weeks. Might have done him a favor actually, but he should be getting Michael Carter back. He's been practicing. He has Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith. I mean, he's having to start Ryan Tannehill. That's pain. But Tannehill has the ability to be good, but if he doesn't have Treylon Burks, I don't know who he's going to throw the ball to. Robert Woods has done nothing all season. But let's have a little fun. I think Barrett takes this one, and things get very interesting in that higher division. OP versus Rusty. This game could not be any more irrelevant. This is the first matchup we've gotten to that neither team has anything to play for. Poor OP loses 3 players to buy. Is projected for a balmy 54. Rusty has started losing streak. He's at 10-3 now. He's at 3, starting to grow. Bad time to start going down. But he has the players to definitely win this week. No problems. He'll win this week unless Waddle goes crazy and somehow Matt Collins has 2 touchdowns tonight. Not impossible, but I'm not going to bet on it. Delman versus Ryan. These teams are projected super close. Ryan loses Aaron Jones to buy and has benched Deshaun Watson. Probably a good move. Delwyn loses Alan Lazard and Juwan Johnson, but he already has those players replaced. DeAndre Swift came on last week. He had most touches of the year, so maybe DeAndre Swift will be overtaken by Jamal Williams and starting to be the more useful back. Ryan's having to start Chuba Hubbard at running back with Aaron Jones out. That's, yeah, good luck. Here's hoping that works. There's not much out there. Njoku's questionable. Cooks is highly questionable. If Cooks doesn't play, he's got Kadarius Toney, who's also questionable himself. Ryan might have to do some work to be able to field a completely starting lineup. Dontrell Hilliard versus Gus Edwards. Like if I'm looking at these player by player, I'm picking Delwyn to win this as having more quality players. However, Ryan has more players who could pop off for a bigger week. But I'm going to pick Delwyn. I've said all season that Delwyn finds ways to get it done. I think Delwyn gets it done here, and we have a little madness in the upper league. And then Ryan will really be rooting that Barrett does win like I predicted he would. So we will go with Delwyn to win this one. Mac versus William. Like I said, this game, they're getting to play each other. That's awesome. And Mac needs to absolutely shoot for the moon, shoot high ceiling. Holy buys. William has 5 players on bye, and he's keeping all of them. So he will not be playing a defense this week. We talked earlier this week. His defense went negative last week, so he's not even wanting to risk taking a chance of losing points when all he's worried about is not getting destroyed. So he is keeping all 5 players that are on bye. Understandably so. They're all starters for him on a normal week. So he will not fill the full lineup. He will be starting Justin Jackson and Zonovan Knight at running back. Oh, my. I thought Justin Jackson was on the Chargers still. That shows you how useful he's been. But the rest of his players have the ability to carry him to enough points. However, Mac put up 130, I think, last week, so he can do it. He loses Paris Campbell and Cordero Patterson to bye, which would normally be a bad loss for teams. However, Raheem Mostert, Najee Harris, fine at running back. We know he's got all the receivers that he could possibly want to play, and he's going to have to pick. It'll be interesting to see if that makes a decision. Currently, he's benching Chris Godwin against that 49ers defense. Probably a smart move, starting Keenan Allen, CeeDee Lamb. Mac will win this week. I do think Mac takes the W. It all starts tonight with his quarterback, Derek Carr. Will he be able to put up a 20 spot or better to get the ball rolling for Mac? I do think Mac wins, but I don't think he covers the point differential, although that would be an epic story for him to do that. Smoke William last week to give it a chance, and then smoke him again with total points. Next matchup, Derek versus Allen. Derek's got everything to play for. Allen does not. Allen's quarterback is on bye. He'll figure it out. I don't know who's going to pick up at this point. He does not have a backup quarterback on the roster, and there ain't much out there, even with injuries. Allen, if you want to, you can pick up uh, Baker. Old Baker Mayfield. He might be playing tonight for the Rams. Good luck. He's probably what's out there. Derek does get Saquon Barkley against the Eagles, which there's a player one against them. That's the running back. But he does lose Curtis Samuel and Olave to bye. Deontay Johnson can't store a touchdown. If you haven't looked that up, he hasn't had one in forever all season and beyond. Joshua Palmer, though, great play as long as Mike Williams is still out. If Mike Williams plays this week, he takes a hit and isn't as useful. Allen will be living and dying by Christian McCaffrey with Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, at QB first. Mr. Irrelevant QB to throw both a forward pass and a touchdown in he's the first one to do either. As Mr. Irrelevant did that last week. Looked pretty good doing it. I think the 49ers have an injury curse. Derek's team is by no means unbeatable for this week. It'll be interesting to see what Derek does at tight end with Taysom Hill out this week. But I do think that Derek will get the job done. Matt versus Michael. Matt with nothing to play for. Michael with everything. Got all in on Damian Harris, hoping to be able to pull something out with him. He loses both his Colts to bye, which hurts him a lot. However, Matt is rolling out. He loses Drake London and Alec Pierce to bye, but he could be getting Joe Mixon back, which is a massive boon to his team. Remember last time Joe Mixon played a full game, he had 5 TDs and about 40 points or something like that. So Matt has the ability to make this interesting. James Cook, also not a terrible play. Mike Williams, if he plays this week, major boost for James Robinson. No thanks for Matt, but he does have Cam Akers, who has become alive apparently these last 2 weeks. But in a perfect world, he's able to bench James Robinson for Joe Mixon, put in Mike Williams for Drake London, and then he still has one more he's got to fill, I guess, with James Cook to make a competitive lineup. That's enough to make it interesting. Joe Mixon playing alone will make this projected total closer. Right now, Michael's favored by 23. That will not be that much if Joe Mixon actually plays. Michael's team is going to live on Herbert and Tyler Lockett, which both play in the afternoon and late night slate on Sunday. So Michael will be sweating it out with his 2 top players to go at the end, knowing how much they got to catch up by. This is not a smart pick. Let's have a fun. Let's pick Matt with a massive upset to ruin Michael's chances. And then the last one, Jeffrey versus Dylan. Jeffrey set himself up last week to be good. Dylan's got to have a W this week. Loses Antonio Gibson to bye. Starting Malik Davis as a sneaky, I hope the Cowboys kill him and he plays the 4th quarter and gets another touchdown like last week and maybe picks up 30, 40 yards within that trash position in trash time football. Jeffrey, it's a good week for Dylan to play Jeffrey. He's got 4 different players on bye. So even with those players on bye, Jeffrey is still favored currently to win by 11. So still got work to do. Dylan just wants to survive tonight. Jeffrey's got Josh Jacobs, who has been destroying teams the last 3 weeks, going, and Devontae Adams. Oof, 2 studs. If Dylan can survive tonight with them scoring less than a combined 25 points, maybe 30, but less than 25, it is a big victory for Dylan to have a chance this week. It's very possible they combine for 50 plus, and this matchup is over before we even get to tomorrow morning. But Dylan's got to hope and pray that A.J. Brown and Justin Jefferson can save him. Dak Prescott's scary at quarterback for this week just because they might kill him early. He does have Kirk Cousins, though. He gets James Conner back as well, but he's playing New England, so Dylan's got to make some choices for a must-win game. I think that Jeffrey will make some lineup changes, even though he doesn't have to. He doesn't need it for this week. So now that Jeffrey set himself aside, it's possible he leaves the bench like it is to give Dylan a chance. Can Justin Jefferson and A.J. Brown get it done? They're playing weak defenses, so I think so. But I'm going to take Jeffrey to pull it off. and ruin and end Dylan's season, take out his brother just like that, right at the knees. Fun week, gentlemen. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch through the Sunday night and Monday night football. Best of luck to everyone out there, and hopefully see quite a few of you here in just over 2 weeks at Dylan's wedding. All right, guys.